I'm sure his advisors go crazy.
Trump cares about winning.
Not reading off. He doesn't have 14.
Kid Rock is one of his advisors, Hey, look, I love Kid Rock, but, I don't know if...
I did a video last night going through the Bernie Sanders, Theo Vaughn conversation, analyzing Bernie's messaging and rhetoric and the overall conversation. But I did see a clip where Theo tells Bernie about his idea that Bernie and Trump should have been on the same presidential ticket. And I guess Bernie had a really funny reaction.
Let's talk about the election coming up right now, or just the current candidacy. I wanted, in 2020, I believe that's when you ran, I wanted you and Donald Trump to be on the same ticket, right? That was a thought that I had because...
Look at his face. Look
at
Bernie.
In my mind, I'm just a regular guy. I don't know a ton about politics, right? I felt both y'all were outliers, right? That's how it seemed to me. These guys are both outliers.
I brought this up last night, but this is why progressives need to be really on point and clear with messaging. Don't use big, scary terms. You don't need to call yourself a socialist, a communist, whatever. Just talk about these simple policies that tons of countries do that can improve lives for Americans. Because if populism is a thing and progressives can't clearly message in a good, progressive and actually productive way, then the fascist or the right-wing populists are going to come in and give easy solutions like, hey, insecure, really beaten down man from the middle of nowhere, immigrants are your problem. We can instantly solve that by mass deportations, anger, hate. We need a message that's very clear. So people like Theo, who aren't very involved in politics, when they see anti-establishment, they don't think anti-establishment is all that matters. We need real policies and real principles behind that too.
Both different, but seem to be doing their own thing. You've been outspoken against Trump, right? Do you think he's not, is he doing his own thing, or is he?
Yes, he is. Look, I will give.
And don't forget the impact of vibes. Vibes matter so much, and you should be able to see that right now with the Kamala Harris campaign being so successful.
Is he doing his own thing, or is he?
Yes, he is. Look, I will give Trump credit. Okay, he does his own thing. Okay, he's a very different type of politician, and that's clear.
Putting it very nicely.
But this is what I do think, Theo. While I respect somebody who has the guts to do their own thing and be very much a non-traditional politician, which is what he is, here's the facts. He lies all the time. Right? And, I got 4 kids and I got 7 grandchildren, and we really have to ask ourselves whether the guy who is the leader of the country, whether that's the kind of example that we want. So I have a lot of friends in politics who differ with me, more conservative people. They're not liars. We disagree. So you and I disagree on something.
It's fine.
So what? It's called America and democracy.
Yeah, it used to be fine.
That's right. All right. But Trump really is, I use the word pathological. He lies. When you see him, I tell them not everything, but a lot of lies. Okay. And I think we can't have that.
This is the problem with it being a cult, because we can't disagree. We cannot disagree on some of these things. When I hear someone say a million facts that are completely fabricated, they're all conspiracy theories, we cannot have that conversation. And it makes it difficult because a big portion of the country believes everything Donald Trump says. They believe every conspiracy theory on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. They believe anything they see. It's going to get worse with AI, but we can't just let that stand in conversations. We can't have a conversation and disagree when you're talking about something, when I'm having a conversation with you, and you are talking about something so made up and unbelievable that it shocks me that a rational human being, well, not really rational, but it shocks me that you even believe that. So that distortion, that complete ruining of reality that Trump brought to the political scene is terrible. We need to get rid of it as fast as possible.
When he was in the private sector.
And then the people in the cult then think you're arguing with them. And if you're in the cult, they believe this stuff 100%. And then they get mad at you when you disagree. And I'm like, I can't not, we just have to not have a conversation then, because you're going to get mad at me. And how am I going to argue with you? I can't argue against literally nothing. You have endless amounts of nothing.
Before he became involved in politics, he was sued, his companies were sued 4,000 times.
He's always been dishonest.
Above and beyond his political views, which I disagree with. But then those you can discuss. I don't think you want somebody leading this country who is shady.
So you're saying he doesn't set the best example.
He's always been a scammer.
Exactly. Look, you got kids.
Obviously not.
I don't have any yet.
All right. Well,
Literally the only reason people think he's good with the economy and everything, and the only reason Trump got popular is when he gave the speech saying about Mexicans being rapists and killers. That is what made Donald Trump surge. Nothing else. Anyone that says he's good with the economy and that's why, bro, please. That is your coping mechanism. You want to say it's about the economy because you really like the way he talks about immigration. Immigration is the #1 issue for these voters.
I hope you're doing. You want kids to be honest, right?
And we can talk about the race implications and xenophobia and whatever too.
So that from a character point of view, I don't like it. But also, let me give another example. I happen to believe, I don't know what your views are, that women have a right to control their own bodies. All right. I don't want, as a man, somebody saying, "Oh, Bernie, you can't have a vasectomy. You can't do this. You can't." My business, not the government.
Does anyone know Theo's position on abortions?
And Trump does not hold that view. I happen to believe strongly that climate change is real. We got the, just a week or two ago.
Yeah, I saw your podcast with Bill Billinkoff.
Bill McKibben, of course. I've known Bill McPhee.
Bill McKibben, yeah.
Yeah, and Bill is
yeah, I want to get to speak to him. He seems really interesting.
smart guy.
Is he?
I've known him for years.
Yeah, because I want to learn more about, you just always hear about climate change. And so, yeah, I want to learn more about it.
Good.
I love Theo, man.
I
love
hope you
him.
do. And I'm sure Bill would be happy to go on the show with you.
That'd be cool.
If you wanted, I can give him a call.
Awesome.
I really hope that happens.
In all of the scientists agree, when you put carbon into the atmosphere, it creates a ceiling there. The earth warms up. And then because of the earth warming up, you have extreme weather disturbances like you come from Louisiana, do you?
Oh, yeah. We're sinking.
You've seen the terrible floods there. We've had them here in Vermont.
Yeah, they have in Savannah right now going on.
Right. That's right. Floods the likes of which we've never seen. You've seen.
Bernie's wrong about 99. Well, not 99. I was going to make a joke about that. But Bernie's wrong about every scientist agreeing about climate change. 99.9% agree with climate change being a big issue. And 0.1% got a big check from the Koch brothers.
Drought.
And
Saudi
ExxonMobil.
Arabia, temperature reached 125 degrees, which people are dying by the hundreds. So Trump does not believe that climate change is real. And if he becomes president, that means not only will the United States, the whole world will give up. And I don't know what this planet is going to look like in, 10, 15 years.
And do you say that because America is really the leader of the forefront of looking out for climate change?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
We're the largest economy in the world.
Right.
Now, China is a bigger polluter than we are right now.
Oh, yeah, dude. They all smoke, too. A lot of Chinese people. Yeah, that kid that smokes on that bicycle or whatever, he's smoking like 11 cigarettes.
All right, but if we say, hey, the hell with it, then other countries.
Bernie had no idea what he's talking
about. It's a global
about.
problem.
Right. Then
I don't
everybody's
think
going to be
Bernie
like,
wants
oh,
to know.
You got
screw it.
everybody backs off. And then I don't know what this planet, you talk about floods, it's going to get worse and worse. Heat waves, worse, drought, worse, migrations. There are millions, hundreds of millions of people, little farmers in poor countries. They can't farm anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. So I disagree with Trump on that.
And that'll create a mass migration crisis. And I know Elon Musk and Donald Trump talked about climate change on their dumb Twitter Spaces thing. But Elon Musk was saying to Trump, climate change is real, but it's not really a big issue. The point in climate change where Elon Musk decided it becomes an issue, Elon is like, well, it doesn't even become uncomfortable until this certain point for like 100 years. And it's like, bro, the point of carbon emissions to make humans feel uncomfortable would be twice as much as what's going to take us to get global crop failure and mass migration events from poorer countries and severe weather events. So Elon Musk is being the climate representative for Donald Trump and still lying about it, even while saying it's real. Donald Trump does not take it seriously at all. And even the best interpretation of what they say is ridiculous and a ridiculous notion about how climate is affecting the earth. Elon Musk is not an expert. And if he is an expert, he lies constantly for his own political gain. So you can't trust him. As sad as it is to say, because the U.S. is a global leader, you need to vote for Kamala Harris this election. I'll be happily voting for Kamala Harris and Walz this election because it matters. The U.S. needs to be able to guide on climate change, foreign policy, like everything falls apart if Trump becomes president again.
So those are some.
And that's not even getting to our domestic issues with Project 2025.
Yeah.
Strongly against them.
Those are
Or
important
Agenda
issues,
47.
Certainly, yeah. And I don't think it's like everybody can have their own thoughts on different issues. And do you see why people like him?
I do. Because he's very disarming. He gets up there and he says whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
He is not.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he's by the book. That was the thing.
He is not by the book.
Right. And so that's something the same as you. It's like he's speaking for, it feels like they're speaking for themselves, right? Whether you agree with maybe what they believe what they're saying. And that, I think, comes through
I think you're right.
clearly to people.
Trump does not believe anything he says.
Gets up
Trump
there
does
and
not
he
care
rants
about
and he
believing
does his
things.
thing, and he's not necessarily, I'm sure his advisors go crazy.
Trump cares about winning.
Not reading off. He doesn't have 14.
Kid Rock is one of his advisors, Hey, look, I love Kid Rock, but I don't know if every advice of his is the best, but now some of it is, that's for sure, but some of it may not.
You're right.
be.
And a lot of these politicians have 18 different consultants. You can't use that word. You can't say that. And he's
that
not
makes
like
it
that.
miserable. He's not like that, right?
And people find that appealing. I get it. But, again, I don't think you can have a pathological liar or somebody who doesn't believe in women have the right to control their bodies, who doesn't believe in climate change. I think that's bad. And by the way, I'm not quite so sure how much he believes that democracy is.
Imagine a backroom meeting with like Donald Trump, Kanye West, Nick Fuentes, Kid Rock. I feel like that would be insane.
Well,
Yeah. Well, and look, yeah, that's exactly that's how
I
you
pay a
feel,
lot of
and
money
it's
to see that.
important. And you've always had your own feelings, and I appreciate you always having them and sharing what they are. Did you feel like whenever the people tried to assassinate, did you think it was deeper than that? Or do you think it was just some Reddit jockey just on?
First of all, it was horrible. I mean, I disagree with Trump on everything, but the idea of people assassinating Trump or anybody else is
it's crazy.
It's crazy. It is horrible, and it's. I mean, I
All
can't
right, pull it back in, Theo.
give you the words. It's
We
just
can't talk about this too much.
terrible. We
Stop.
cannot have that in American politics. My own guess, and I'm not an expert. I'm sure there are a lot of, conspiratorial
Theo's going to fly
theories
close
that
to
are
the
out
sun
there.
with the jokes he
I
makes
think
about
you
this.
we've seen it before. You've seen seemingly normal people walking into schools with guns doing horrible things, right?
Yeah.
And I think you had, for whatever reason, I don't want to even speculate why this young man did what he did.
But you just think it was a young man who that was it.
That's what the evidence seems to suggest so far.
Right. But
Who
you
cares
didn't hear
about
anything
evidence? On X.com, I saw the evidence. It was the evidence was someone posting on X.com saying breaking in all caps. That's evidence. If it says breaking in all caps on X.com, that means it's true
So
information.
you guys don't hear anything else as Congress people. You don't hear
I don't
anything
know
deeper
any
than
great
that.
That's how you fact
secrets
check.
that you don't know.
Yeah. Do you think that Kamala Harris is the best person to run against Donald Trump right now?
Well, she is the person, and that's
And that won't change probably.
Well, she
huh?
is the person.
she'll be the Democratic candidate. And I've known Kamala for a number of years. Not best friends, but I've known her.
Mhm.
She was in the Senate for a short period. She's very smart, and she's determined. I mean, above and beyond her views on the issues, which I support most of them, not all. You got to give credit to somebody, a black woman, to move up the ladder. That ain't easy stuff. There's a lot of resistance to that, and
That's a good point.
she's persistent. She's strong, and I respect that. And I think she'll be a good candidate. I was interested that Trump apparently backed out of a debate with her on ABC, and I wouldn't. I have debated her as a matter of fact. She's tough.
She's tough. Was there a
This must be old because Donald Trump proposed a debate on the 4th, the 10th, and the 25th of September, the 4th being on Fox News, which Kamala should not do, by the way. Fox News had to pay a $900 million settlement because of their election lies in 2020. Kamala should say no to that. Every Democrat should. Every person should. Republican, not even just Democrat. Every person in America should say no to a Fox News debate, especially after those lawsuits. And there's still ongoing lawsuits about the election lies that Fox did. September 10th is on ABC, I think, still, and then September 25th is on NBC. So I'd expect if there are more than one debate, it'd be on the 10th and the 25th, if I had to give my prediction.
chance that you were going to get that nominee, or as an independent, can you get been plotted with the Democratic Party and put in?
I don't
Was
think
there
so.
even a call about
I don't
it or
think so,
anything?
Theo. I really don't think
I
so.
ran in 16. I ran against Hillary Clinton, and I ran in 20.
Yeah, I remember, and I felt like you didn't get treated fairly, to be honest
Well, I
with
didn't, and that's what happens when you take on the establishment. So
Yeah.
what happened is we won the first 3 primaries, and then the establishment got very, very nervous, and there were a whole lot of candidates in the Democratic primary, and they said, "Hey, be a good idea if you all dropped out. Let Joe Biden be the one candidate." People rallied around him.
And do they call? Is there a call that you get, and it's like you're not going to move?
That was
forward? Is it
heartbreaking
just
back
like
in the day.
News articles. That,
Back
how does
in the
it, how
day,
does
man.
The
Well,
establishment
what
kind of
happens
work?
is
4
I
years
won
ago.
the popular vote in Iowa. I won the New Hampshire primary. I won the Nevada primary, and those were the first 3. And then front pages of the New York Times, Democratic establishment very nervous. Bernie Sanders could win the whole. We were doing very well in the polls. And, I think behind the scenes, people saw, there were like 15 different candidates. And they were splitting up the vote. And that's how I was not necessarily getting over 50%. I was getting more than other people. So I was on the way to victory. And they said, look, Bernie shouldn't be the candidate for a variety of reasons. We don't want him the candidate. Drop out. And then on one day, one or 2 days, a lot of people dropped out. It was Joe Biden and me, and Joe had a lot of support, and all these people came behind him, and that's what happened. Let me also say, having said that, Biden is a friend of mine. I think he has done a very good job over the last 3.5 years, and I'm working very hard to see that Kamala is elected our next president.
That's a really difficult one because I know a lot of progressives were really turned off, including myself, after Bernie was doing very well in 2020, and then everyone dropped out to endorse Biden. But it's very hard when you're not establishing connections, and that's part of being an independent. Biden was establishing some of the strongest Washington connections in American history over the past 50 years. Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders was an independent who was trying to take over the party from the outside and to influence the party as an independent. So Bernie did not have the same connections. Bernie did amazing for what we had, and of course, I should also note that politics is not fair. It's not cool that they could all just drop out in a coordinated effort to endorse Biden, but that's how it works. So we had to go into that being prepared. But it doesn't really matter. What all matters in the end all that matters in the end, actually, is that good policies are passed. And I think Biden did a good job passing Inflation Reduction, infrastructure, American Rescue Plan. There's a lot of good policies supporting unions, labor, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that was a conversation with Theo, Vaughn, and Bernie Sanders, another section. It was hilarious talking about Kid Rock advising Trump and Bernie on the same ticket. But, you know, Theo's a wild guy, very random. Anyways, if you like this video, please consider dropping a like, commenting, and subscribing for more content covering this election and other topics. Thank you.